Hola, mi gente. It's your girl here. I have something I want to talk about. The thought that's on my mind right now has to do with you releasing any and all impulse decisions of including yourself or participating in an event, an argument, a situation, some form of teaching others when you were never supposed to be involved. What do I mean by this? And what does this have to do with self-love, self first? Well, let's loosen up because I couldn't wait to talk about this. And I just got in the car and I figured it's time to talk because I noticed that a lot of people involve themselves in other situations that really isn't their issue. It should never. It's kind of like they make it about themselves. Like, my reminder to you right now is for you to stop involving yourself in every single situation emotionally as if it has anything to do with you. I'll explain if you haven't understood what I meant. So things happen throughout the day with people, throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the years, right? And a lot of people are privileging themselves into situations that really isn't their lesson or their blessing. Now, when I say this has a lot to do with self-love, self-first, because we do not teach others. They learn from how we are. Get it? You do, and people see, and then they learn. But you don't dirty your hands to teach people. You don't involve yourself in someone else's lessons and make it all about you and get all emotionally attached to this situation. Let me share a story. Now, in helping someone, in helping one person, me helping someone, another person got involved. And they literally started to share with me, person number 2 was sharing with me all about how person number 1's situation is, how it makes them feel, right? And the only thing that I can think of in my mind at the moment was like, why are you making this about you? Like, this has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. You should not be emotionally attached. You should not be out of your mind. You should not be angry, sad. You should be the outsider that you are and play your role. Because we already have an issue that we're dealing with at hand for person number 1. Now, person number 2, they're involved only due to the relationship that they have with person number 1. So they are obviously there. So, but when I say that you guys need to stop doing this, I'm gonna go a little deeper. Spiritually, if you're learning something, everyone does not have to be involved in your lessons and in your blessings, right? Now, if you know that someone is going through a moment and you can clearly tell they're kind of like, what's the word? They're not going with the flow. So somebody else needs to step in to teach them a lesson. Because, and it's funny because I've been speaking about this a lot lately with different scenarios, different people. And I learned this a long time ago that when you're trying to teach someone something, sometimes that lesson doesn't always come from one person. Sometimes you gotta allow for a person to learn a different way. So it is your duty. Say what you gotta say. Don't be emotionally attached to what you're saying. Let it go. I'm not saying going with the flow and not care, but you also need to not hold emotional attachment to something that is not your lesson. You get me now? When it has to do with someone else learning a lesson, sometimes you must let it go. Actually, all the time. But sometimes, you care so much that you involve yourself in it. And that's where the problem goes, guys. Because when you are emotionally attaching yourself to someone else's lessons and their blessings, because when I say lessons and blessings, I'm not talking about material stuff. I'm talking about the blessing of a person learning from these situations that they're going through. And quite frankly, let me speak from the perspective of the person who's involved in the situation, who's going through the lesson. They really don't sometimes want to hear other people's opinions. They really don't want to hear someone arguing with them. They really don't need any more stress than what they're going through. They're really not in the mood. So now you're taking your emotions. Person number 2 is taking their emotions and they're involving your emotions into this situation. It has nothing to do with you. And you're making it worse than what it really is. So as a lesson in this for you too as well, sometimes you need, and if you need me to tell it to you, mind your own business. And I say that with so much love. And I don't say that with any kind of smart remark or anything of that nature. I say that because I am here to help you guys see a different perspective on what self-love, self-first involves. Sometimes you need to mind your business. And the person number 1. Now, of course, you're learning, right? And you don't really want everybody getting all this extra emotions and getting on your nerves and stuff like that. We understand that. But there's people that's around you that care. You can't fault them. Because not everyone thinks like this. Let's be quite frank. Let's be quite frank. Everybody wants to be in everybody's business. And unfortunately, that's what you're dealing with. So, as a self-love, self-first person, you would know how to separate yourself firmly with love and set your boundaries. Set your boundaries. Learn your lesson so nobody has to be in your business. So nobody has to really try to kind of like nail it in your head. Like, hello, you know what I mean? Like, it's painful. It's painful. You got to keep hearing this over and over again. Nobody wants to hear that. You know, I mean, I've made mistakes in my life, and yo, don't make me out here to look like the fool, because I don't like that part. That's not cool. That is not cool, especially when you're a divine person, especially when you live a certain way. You know, not everybody gets to personally get to know me. You understand? So, you know, I have, you know, my way of doing things. You know, I'm a very calculated person, so a lot of people don't know that about me. I give off this nonchalant. A lot of people probably think that I don't know, but I really do know. I might, you know, the give off like you don't know anything type of thing, but you know a lot. Not everybody needs to know that. And I'm okay with that. How you view me doesn't really alter how I truly view myself. However, It is what it is. So that was just a little sprinkle about me. But just know this. Sometimes you gotta mind your business, guys. And, you know, it's okay for you to know that. It's okay for you to step back and allow someone else to learn their lesson. It's okay for you to not be the person that always teaches everything and everyone and be in control of every single thing, especially parents. You know, a lot of parents out there, they want to take control of their children, right? I learned this from a psychology teacher a long time ago. And the psychology teacher told me that it's okay to allow another person teach a child. And for me, I was like, well, why? Because I'm so involved in this situation. But see, that's where the emotions come in. You're so involved that you're emotionally attached to this, that you feel like that lesson and that blessing has to come from you. But what you don't understand is not everybody thinks like you. So this is your help knocking on the door. Allow it in. Be easy. Allow it in, because when you allow that help in, then you really start to receive. And who doesn't like to receive? That's a gift right there. That's like a God's given gift that's being given to you, a divine gift, and you're pushing it away because you believe that you need to be the one talking to them in that situation, and it has to be this way, and that's the only way. And you're like, wait, what? This is for person number 2. You understand? I'm pretty sure at this point you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Sometimes it's okay for you to mind your business. Allow others to learn their lessons. And it's not that you don't care. It's just that not every lesson and blessing comes from you. And that's just my message right there. You understand? So, and to finish off my story, I taught somebody something and I wanted for them to learn it from me, but they ended up learning it from a counselor. And I was like, you know what? As long as you got the message, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. As long as you got the lesson, you understood, it doesn't matter where the lesson came from. And that's the flow that we as people have to understand and adjust to. Not everything is for you. Stop taking on things and problems of other people. Get me? Okay, I think I've said enough. I digress. Self-love, self first.